Update. My girlfriend dated me because of a dare. Original post. My girlfriend, 17 female, and I, 18 male, have been dating for 5 months. Before we started dating, I had a crush on her for roughly a year. It was quite well known, since one of my old friends spilled it directly to her and her friends. They giggled for some time, but she never made a move on me or spoke to me about it. We're just classmates and darn close. For New Year's, she hosted a birthday party for her 17th birthday. I was overjoyed and happily came. It was a great party, though I was mostly off to the side since my old friends were mainly mingling with other people. A few days afterwards, she came up to me and asked me to meet after school. We agreed at a park, to where she confessed she had feelings for me and wanted to be a couple. I was over the moon, and we began dating that day. Our relationship was pretty solid. We didn't get too many fights, but she wasn't all that affectionate, which I was fine with. We never got intimate and mainly did small things like cuddling. Skip to 5 months. She was in my home and in the kitchen making herself a snack. Her phone was buzzing and she asked me to bring it over. Her settings are when you can see the first line of the message, and the phone automatically turns on whenever she receives a notification. I took a glimpse and it was one of her friends. I didn't take a good look, but it read something like, "When is the breakup happening?" which immediately attracted my attention. I unlocked her phone since I knew her password prior, and I read a few more messages where they were talking about a prank they pulled on me. I confronted her about it, and she went silent. After some prodding, she confessed. During her birthday, one of her friends dared her to ask me out. She got guilty when we continued dating for months upon months. It was supposed to be a one-time thing, with a simple date at a restaurant. Now they plan to hook me up with someone and frame me for cheating in the next few weeks, so she has a valid reason to break up with me. It also gave the other girls a chance to spread rumors about me. We got into a huge fight, and I told her to leave and that we are done. It's only been a few hours, and I'm absolutely devastated. I really like this girl, and she decided that it was a fun idea to pull on my heartstrings. I don't know what to do. Her things are still here, so I'm going to put it all in a box and leave it outside. She's been texting me, apologizing and trying to explain herself. I blocked her friend's number since they were also harassing me. I haven't blocked her number just yet, since we have to get each other's stuff from the others' houses. After that, I'll be going no contact. Luckily, the school year is almost over and I'm graduating, so I don't have to see her again. Still, I'm really upset. It hurts, man. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. I'm curious about how she's going to explain herself. She dated you on a dare, to toy with your feelings. She planned to frame you for cheating. Her friends were going to spread rumors about you afterwards. They targeted you and planned to devastate you emotionally, then ruin your reputation. Why? What possible excuse could they give? Crappy teenager games, that is all, but feelings can be caught. How do I know? Had the same game played on me in 1998. Anyhow, now married to her and happy. It may have started as a game, but may not have ended as one. But how could you still have feelings for someone who was so ready to play with and break someone's heart? Also, not a game. This is just plain bullying. Because maybe she really wanted to date him, but the only way she saw her crappy friends accepting it is if it was a prank. People are weird. Bro, you'll get better girlfriend, trust me. Just focus on yourself and please talk to someone like your friend. But what if it's like Can't Buy Me Love and she really likes him now? She should have told her friends to drop the nonsense. I doubt if she likes him, that the conspiring of a breakup would have continued. I'm sorry they put you through this, but you must protect yourself from all of them. And for that, you must capture and record every messages, /mails, /vocal messages, /phone calls, in case they want to spread rumors that will destroy your reputation. Those kinds of girl have no moral or conscience. They're heartless. You don't have to blame yourself or anything. Unfortunately, too many stupid people like them don't find anything else to do than making fun of others. They are empty people, so don't let them have power on you. It's not because that idiot dated with you for this disgusting reason will mean you can't date someone who will really care and have true feelings for you. They're trash, and thank God you caught her and her friends, so protect yourself from their actions. Yes, do this, please. Make sure everyone knows what these girls did. Also, is not making fun of Opie. They're literally ruining his life and playing with his heartstrings. That is messed up on many levels, and honestly, they should be in jail for this. Now for the updates. I woke up to see dozens of comments and hundreds of likes. Never would I ever expect people to be interested in my love life. LMAO. I read some comments and I'm screenshotting her confession to what she and her friends did. Only if things go south. I'm like guaranteed her friends are gonna pull something, so I'm gonna prepare. I'm praying I'm able to get my things back without a problem. My guitar is at her place. I ain't leaving that behind. Now for the full update. I honestly didn't expect to post an update so soon, but since I did agree to pick up my things today while also dropping hers off, I don't know why I expected nothing to happen. A lot of you pointed out about she may have fallen in love with me during our relationship. It doesn't matter if she did or not. She broke my trust, and I'm no longer attracted to her after yesterday. She allowed her friends to talk trash about me and plotted to destroy my reputation. She's weak-minded, and I'm not going to further date someone who will pick their awful friends over their romantic interest. Do I feel bad? A little, but I tried warning her and she did not listen. Now on to the actual update. So I went to my ex's house with a friend of mine, since in no way in hell I'm going there alone. It was right before school. I didn't see my things outside, so I rang the doorbell. Her father came out and handed my things while I gave him her things. He asked if I had cheated on her since she's crying in her room about it. So, yeah, more of you were right about them spreading rumors and trying to blast me. I explained I didn't, and even showed the screenshots I had on my phone. I ended up sending him through his phone number. He thanked me and said he'll take a look at it. I told him if he didn't believe me through this, then look at her phone. My friend and I left to go back home and get ready for school. I'm happy I got my guitar back, since it's really the only thing I valued. After school, I got a call from my ex's dad. He apologized for the accusations and found a group chat of the girls and the hookup plans. He said he was going to punish his daughter and find these friends' parents. He got their names already, and he's prodding my ex to know where they live. I told him he could use my screenshots as evidence to back me up. Props to the dad for being calm about this. That's really all that happened. I know her dad and he's a scary man. He's 6 feet in build. He can be very intimidating. And I know my ex will give up the information. It's only a matter of time the girls will fall. I'll be keeping an eye out since I have a week left of school. If anything happens, I'll post another update. I'm not interested in finding their socials and seeing if they already started spreading the whole cheating rumors. I'm sure they did. However, everything was fine at school, but now it's the weekend, so I may receive some backlash when I return. I honestly don't care. I already got accepted into a college, and I'm ditching this place. I just need to survive a week in graduation. My ex's dad will do all the heavy work. Kudos to ex's dad for handling it like a pro. Not many believe others over their own children, even after proofs. Glad things worked out well in the end for you. Cheers. Tells you a lot if the dad believed his daughter is capable of gaslighting and slander. He must have seen things while she was growing up. Not to mention he was OP's age once and put himself in his shoes. He seized the opportunity to raise a daughter in this world, suitable to date and eventually marry. He also saw the opportunity to vindicate OP. Well done. Out them before they out you. Let everyone know that they were going to ruin your reputation and possibly your future for fun and giggles. No one would want to risk catching jail time because these girls were bored and framed them for fun and giggles. Also, why is she crying? She was fine trying to frame you and ruin you. Probably caught actual feels in the process, or maybe even had actual feels from the start, but wasn't able to admit it to her friends. No one stays in a fake relationship for 5 months on a dare. Your last sentence shows exactly what you should be doing. Staying silent to your peers, talk to the adult that wanted to talk, and allowing the effects of her decision catch up to her. Little did you know it could turn out this way, but boy will she never forget. Good for you for being calm, detached, and level-headed while looking to the future. Remember, if you don't speak about this at school, mystery surrounds you and you have the power. Speak one word, and you lose it through the telephone game. Keep holding your head up high. Very impressed and glad you're going to make a really good boyfriend to someone that is authentically compatible with you. Cheers to college as well. You got this. Next story. The girl that rejected me is now stalking me and is getting creepier every day. This all started about a month ago. There was this girl, let's call her Sarah, 20, who I, male 19, had a huge crush on. We had some classes together in college and even studied together sometimes. One day, I mustered up the courage to ask her out on a date, but she turned me down, something about not wanting to ruin our friendship. I was a bit hurt, but respected her decision and tried to move on. Everything seemed normal for the first week or so after that, but then I started noticing Sarah everywhere. At first, I thought it was just a coincidence. Maybe we had more common interests than I initially thought. Like, what are the chances, right? But as the time went on, this became clear that this was more than just chance encounters. Sarah would be waiting outside my classes, claiming that she needed to talk to our mutual professor, a professor who is pretty close to me and I look up to. She would show up at my favorite coffee shop just minutes after I arrived. She even accidentally bumped into me at the grocery store multiple times. The creepiest part, whenever we crossed paths, she would give me this intense stare that sent chills down my spine, instead of just talking to me about anything. I started getting paranoid and decided to confront her about it one day when she showed up at a library where I was studying alone. She acted surprised and denied everything, but there was something off about her reaction, like she was hiding something. Things got worse from there. One night, as I returned to my apartment after hanging out with friends, I noticed that my door was slightly ajar. My heart raced as I entered my home and discovered that someone had been inside. Nothing appeared to be stolen, but there were subtle signs of intrusion. Some of my belongings had been moved around or misplaced, as if whoever broke in didn't plan on stealing but rather tried to find something for me. Then came the messages. Random texts from unknown numbers containing vague threats and warnings. You should have given her a chance. She's not the one you should have rejected. She's watching you. These messages don't even make sense, because if it's the person I'm thinking, then I wasn't the one who rejected her. Anyways, I tried blocking the numbers, but that was pointless as new ones would always appear. So, I changed my numbers, and I even went to the police. But without any solid evidence or proof, they couldn't do much to help me, as they suggested. If the text is only evidence, then just change your phone number as someone can just be pranking you. However, I haven't told anyone about anything as I didn't want to look dumb because they will just say it's chances. Now, every day is a constant state of unease and fear. I've tried changing my routine and avoiding places where I might run into her, but she still finds me. I can't shake the feeling that she's always watching me, lurking in the shadows, as cringy as those sounds. I'm not sure what she wants or why she's doing this, as I tried talking about this with her already. All I know is that it's getting creepier by the day, and I'm not sure how much more I can take. Has anyone else experienced something like this? Any advice on how to deal with a stalker who used to be a friend? Edit. Let me provide some background context. Sarah and I have been friends for only a month. However, I started developing feelings for her due to her kindness. She helped me study for our class together and seemed to be the smartest in our class. We usually studied at my apartment. Sarah was aware that my door could sometimes be jammed, making it difficult to lock or unlock. I reported this issue when I first moved in, but nothing was done about it. As a result, I would avoid leaving any valuables in my apartment. Now for the comments. I would check around your apartment to make sure she didn't stick a camera somewhere if she was the one who broke in. How creepy. Sorry this is happening to you. I think there's some info online or YouTube that helps you check areas for hidden cameras. I think mostly to help people with Airbnb and such. Opie, maybe you can have your friend tail you a bit and try to get a video of her stalking you? I suggest setting up some cameras yourself to be safe. If this is real, that's effing scary. I'm sorry this is happening to you. Please do check for cameras and maybe an AirTag or other type of tracking device. When she bumps into you, are you carrying or wearing something you wear all the time? If you have a car, check it for a tracking device too. Could even be an app she installed on your phone or some location sharing SM app. If you do find something, leave it as is and go straight to the police so they can figure out who put it there. Take care of yourself. If you have an Android phone, you can download the AirGuard app. It's a free and open source app developed for research by a German university that monitors for tracking devices like AirTags that rely on connecting momentarily via Bluetooth to random supported phones to send tracking information. It scans periodically for tracking devices and will alert you if it detects the same tracking device near you in multiple locations in a certain time frame, and can connect to AirTags and play a noise on them to aid in finding nefariously hidden ones. You might have to fiddle with settings to get it to not be put to sleep by Android, trying to save battery. But it alerts me about the AirTag I put in my own truck almost every day on my way home from work. I would start keeping a record of where you are when you see her, and snap a picture to time and dates everything. I would start recording every conversation with her, especially the ones when you're asking her why she's there and for what reason. Especially if it's somewhere not necessarily commonplace. Definitely check your apartment for listening devices and cameras. If you find none, it's time to put up some of your own, especially around windows or doors where you can see who's lurking around you. If she's watching you, you might be able to see her car parked outside or literally hiding in bushes. If your apartment is higher off the ground, then focus on public streets that can still be legal to record. Most importantly, you need to tell someone you think she's stalking you, even if they think you're crazy. Ask them to observe her patterns of behavior if they know her. And if you don't, establish a safe word or code to use if you're in trouble, or if she starts to pretend to be someone important in your life. She could start to turn others on you if she gets the first word, so don't let her. You need to start this conversation with evidence first before she does. Otherwise, it could be harder to defend yourself later on. Mini update. I have read your comments and I haven't found any hidden cameras in my place. If there is one, it's hidden so well that I can't find it. I cannot explain her behavior after all this, since I am not a psychological professional. I've heard stories about men being rejected and then stalking their love interest or ex-partner, but I've never encountered a situation like this. For now, that's all the information I have to share. Update. I-19 male recently found out that my older sister, 34 female, is actually my biological mother. Original post. My older sister, let's call her Rose, and I have a great relationship since I was a baby. We were raised with an amazing adoptive family and she has always taken care of me. I grew up in a very warm and loving environment, but from what I was told, I was lucky. I was told the story of how me and my sister had two drug addict parents who never took care of us. They never bothered feeding us and used to left us at a junkie friend's house for days to go out partying. When my mom was pregnant with me, she smoked and got drunk. Luckily, I turned out pretty fine. And when I was born, my sister was the only one who took care of me. When I was 2 months old, they left us both in a mall and left. We got help from an old couple, who also turned into our adoptive family, and we contacted the police, but my parents weren't at the house, which looked like a homeless cave. We never saw them again, and after several months in foster care, the couple that helped us, throughout the whole way by the way, agreed to adopt us. Today I'm 19 and Rose is 34. I still live with my adoptive family, and she lives about 20 minutes away, so I come and visit her at least 3 to 4 times a week. So a couple of months ago, my friend offered me to take a DNA test to find some information about my heritage, since my sister wouldn't speak of them much. After the results came in, I found out some pretty interesting things, like being 50% Ashkenazi Jew, and I found out later that I had an aunt, 33 female, in the system. I immediately reached out to her, let's call her Janet, and we agreed to meet in person. All that without telling Rose a thing. When we met up, I could see we have some similar characteristics like same hair color and same eyes. We tried to figure things out. So I asked her if she has a brother or sister, and she told me that when she was 13, her 14-year-old sister got pregnant while being drunk with her junkie boyfriend, and a month after giving birth, she ran away with a baby after some pretty intensive fights with her parents. They never found her and stopped looking after 1.5 years. I connected the dots, asked to see a picture of her, so we went to her parents' house. The mom wasn't home and father died 3 years ago. When I saw the picture, I knew. This was Rose, 100%. Rose is my mom. We were never abandoned. We didn't have junkie parents and she fabricated the entire thing to me and our adoptive family. I immediately gave Janet a hug and told her that it's too much for me right now and asked her to keep it a secret for now. I went to my best friend's house, told him everything, and for a week now I'm sleeping over at his place. I told my parents and my sister that I'm at his house because he bought a new game that we both wanted for a long time and avoided talking to Rose much. I can't look her in the eyes right now, let alone tell her I know the truth. What the heck am I supposed to do? How should I handle this? Should I tell her I know? Now for the top advice before reading the updates. Keep in mind your aunt was 13 and her view is probably heavily colored by her parents' representation of what happened. Please update us when you can. In my opinion, Your sister/mom did what she needed to do in order to make sure she could keep you safe, allow you to grow up normally, have good role models as parents to set good examples for you, and also allow her to stay by your side during your life so she could somehow help raise you/see you grow. What else was she supposed to do given her situation? She was a mom at a young age, but a mom nevertheless. And when maternal instincts kick in, you cut out the things standing in your way from doing what you think is best for your baby. She probably knew her parents would make her give up the baby, something she clearly didn't want. She probably was afraid of the baby being around its father if he was a junkie, which is understandable. And she understood that if she wanted a better life for her child and be involved in the child's life, she needed to get away from people who would try to control her and force her to go down a path she didn't want to go down. Regardless, it sounds like Opie had a good family and support system. It sounds like Opie's real mom got her crap together. She was allowed to turn a new leaf, and the reason she changed her whole life's trajectory was for this baby who is Opie. Do you know how painful it must have been to never say you're the mother of your own child? Everything she did for Opie. I understand it's very confusing right now, but you grew up in a better situation than you would have if she didn't lie. I think it's smart of her to say she's the sister and not the mom. They may not have adopted her if she was the young mom of this baby. She would have potentially lost Opie otherwise. Sounds like she did the best she could for you under the worst conditions. She stayed in your life and protected you. You said you were raised with love and compassion. You could have had a horrible childhood, but you didn't. It's not ideal, but it's not terrible either. You should talk about it with her. I agree. I mean, people are judging her and fail to realize this girl was 14 years old. 14. She did the best she could with her situation. Seriously, this is a person asking for advice. No one should be condemning the mom/sister because it sounds like she tried her hardest in a horrible situation. I sure as hell know I wouldn't have had any idea on what to do if I were in her place. It sounds like she was ashamed of her past and has gotten better but didn't want you to know who she used to be due to the shame. So she made a story up, which is actually probably true in ways, but the mom is her, in order to protect you. I think you should approach this with compassion. She didn't lie to hurt you. She lied because she loved you and hated her past self. It sounds like she dearly loves you and made it incredibly difficult, but right call to give you to an adoptive family so you could have a much better life than she could give. It's a lot to take in, but does it really change that much? You just went from having a loving sister to loving mom, which isn't a big difference, honestly. Many older sister acts like a mother anyways. I think you are gonna be okay. Now for the first update. My best friend just took me out for a movie and a drink. I'm not that drunk right now though. I thank you all so much for your warm replies. Made me look at the situation a bit clearer. I have decided to break it to Rose this week, but I need some time to think about how to tell her I know. I don't know if I should try getting there slowly or just break the news to her somehow. I even considered bringing her sister with me, but I genuinely think she will be pissed. I'll keep updating as soon as I'll decide how to tell her. Right now, going to bed to sleep it over. After seeing some comments asking how the adoption process went, I decided I need to explain some things. First of all, it's worth mentioning that the adoption process wasn't immediate and it took about a year between the time that happy couple found us outside a mall and the time they adopted us. We were in foster care that time and Rose used to keep touch with them and they would come visit us once or twice a week. Or so I'm told. I don't know what to believe now. Eventually, Rose broke down in tears for them and told them she hates foster care and that her little brother, me, would grow up here and she couldn't bear that thought. At the time, they decided to try and adopt her and hired lawyers and stuff, and after a few months it was legal and done. At least that's what I was told. I don't think my adoptive parents knew, but if they did, then that story is probably a lie too. Now for the second and full update. Okay, so I first of all want to thank everyone for your honest replies. It really helped me to get my feelings straight and get ready to confront her. So after a week of avoiding, I came to her house with a picnic basket by surprise, so I'll have a chance to speak with her. She was happy to see me and I told her to sit down because we need to talk. I started things with saying that I know that she has a secret that she's been hiding from me for years. Her face turned red and she started crying like hell. She knew what I was talking about. I told her the story about the DNA test, about Janet, and basically what I told you guys in the last post. Well, after she calmed down a bit, she told me the truth. She told me how she got drunk at a party and slept with one of the jerks who does nothing but tweet every day. He didn't really care about a future kid and was like, yeah, whatever. Apparently, she found out that 10 years ago he was stabbed in prison after sitting for dealing, assault and armed robbery. She told me how her mother used to convince her father to talk me out of the idea of keeping the baby. They would constantly fight with her. When the baby was born, they told her on the spot that she brought shame upon the family, and they will not help raise the baby in any way, meaning she will have to work meanwhile to have money for her baby and sometimes for herself. After a couple of months loaning from her friends and juggling between work and taking care of me, she had a huge fight with her parents and told them that if they are not helping financially and barely in any sort of way, she and me are better off without them. As they sent her to her room, she escaped in the middle of the night, hitchhiked to a neighboring county, and by morning she was already there. She tried to take care of me for a few days. She found an old abandoned house that used to have homeless people coming around every now and then, and she took me to the mall when I started crying. She started crying too. The couple that adopted us immediately came to our aid and asked if we lost our mother. Rose jumped on the opportunity and came up with a story and an alias. Police figured out we are not in the system for multiple reasons. We were raised in foster care for a year and a half until the couple that helped us decided to make the effort and adopt us so we won't be separated. It took them a few months and a couple of lawyers, but they managed to adopt us both. Rose knew all along that her parents are looking for her. They came to their senses after a day or so. She reached out to them and told them in a letter that she's fine and is taking care of herself and me. She's not homeless and found a nice couple to help her with the baby. She made it clear for them that she's never coming back and they should stop looking, and a month after that they stopped. A few years later, her father went on a quest to find her. She was past 18, secretly. After so much time searching, he found her and apologized, and after a while she forgave him and kept secretly in touch with him. He met me a few times, and I knew him as one of Rose's old friends from the park. He helped us a few times, and apparently they would meet up once every 2 months secretly. Ironically, I'm glad I got to know him before he passed, even if I didn't know who he really is. By the way, the adoptive family never found out about the whole thing. So after hearing this, I told her we missed a lot by not knowing she is my mother, and I told her I understand she did the right thing. I pulled out an "It's a boy" sign from the picnic basket and some snacks for a late baby shower, and we hugged for an hour or so. Had a lot of fun, watched a movie, and I headed off to my adoptive parents' house to have dinner with them. I'm glad she is my mother. I feel, for the first time in years, complete. I don't care that she lied, because she did it for the greater good, and I honestly can't imagine my life right now if she didn't. Thanks guys for helping me getting my feelings straight and helping me out mentally to cope with everything that happened. So, did they ever tell the adoptive parents? I remember this one. They didn't. The adoptive parents raised both of them, so they're still mom and dad. Probably for the best, to be honest. The adoptive parents never found out that a homeless 14-year-old with a newborn baby was an obvious teen mom. I hope he's hilarious. Of course they knew she was a teen mom lying her butt off. Why would they confront a 14-year-old over her obvious statutory rape if she wanted to hide from the stigma of being a teen mom and claim the newborn was her brother? I hope he's gonna have a shock once he finds out that it takes more than a month to heal from childbirth, and that everyone knew his 14-year-old sister was a teen mom who was lying about it. Exactly. They might not know her full story, but they are aware that she was lying to keep her son and herself safe. They knew enough to know she was in desperate need of help. Adopting them both so they can help her recover and avoid re-traumatizing her by having her baby taken away for replacement? That's a hero move right there. They're quality parents. Now for the last story. How do I tell my sister her toxic marriage is why I don't hang out with her anymore? I, 38 female, am having trouble being there for my sister, 32 female, and I'm not sure how to tell her why. I'm about 2 years out of a 17-year marriage that ended extremely badly. We had issues throughout the relationship, as well as a lot of fun, but the last couple years he was intensely controlling, abusive, and violent. And since he left, I've done a lot of work to recover and get myself in a healthy headspace. My sister went through a rough patch around the same time my divorce started, and I learned way too much about her husband, 37 male, during that period to ever trust him again. They've been together for years, and while he's never been my family's favorite, because he's an insufferable know-it-all, dominates every conversation and generally pretty annoying, we all just dealt with it because she loved him and we're adults. But since their rough patch, I haven't been able to be around him. During that time, he served her with divorce papers and told her he was going to take their 1-year-old baby away and never let my sister see her again. He convinced my sister she would lose in court anyway, to the point that her plan was to give up, sign all the paperwork he gave her, and leave their baby while she moved out of state with our other sister. This all sounds bad, but my sister is extremely naive and also has the worst anxiety I've ever seen. She was convinced she'd lose their baby no matter what, and she was so broken down she didn't have it in her to fight. Anyway, she told me this plan and I successfully talked her out of it, got her a great lawyer, and she was on her way towards accepting their divorce and rebuilding her life when he suddenly changed his mind. And they reconciled and have been acting like everything is fine ever since. During their eventually canceled divorce, my sister was terrified of being homeless and not having anywhere to go. I was starting over too, so our plan was that I'd buy a triplex, and she and her baby could live in one of the units, me in one, and our little brother, 22 male, in the third one. I went ahead with that plan, and have just been renting out my sister's unit and let her know it's there if she needs it. I cannot be around my sister's husband at all. I've seen behind the scenes. I know he's mistreating her emotionally, financially, and I strongly suspect physically too, although she'd never admit it. I am aware that the right thing to do here is support her decision and grin and bear his company, but I can't do it. I get that it's immature of me, but the situation is too much like my own marriage, and I won't be within 100 feet of it. I especially don't want him in my new home, which for 2 years has been a happy, healthy, peaceful, safe zone. My sister basically won't leave the house without this man because of her anxiety and also his control issues, and they are literally always together. She posted on Instagram a few weeks ago about being sad and confused about why her family never spends time with her anymore. I'd like to gently explain the situation to her, but I'm not sure how to tactfully say, "It's not you, it's your awful husband we can't stand." Looking for advice on how to softly tell her I'm here if she needs me, but that I'm unwilling to be around her husband. Now for the advice. This is tricky because right now she's in a dangerous phase. The phase where they've reconciled and it's them against the world. Understand first and foremost, anything you say right now will get back to him. My suggestion is to make it clear that you simply want to spend time with just her. Don't say it's an issue with him. Become a broken record and let her make the connection. It's really important to me that you and I can spend time together, just us. Can you find an opportunity for that? She's gonna push. You don't like him? And that's when you say, "Nope, that's not it. Nothing to do with him. It's really important to me that you and I have opportunities to spend time together. Just us." Keep him out of it. Will it be very obvious that he is the problem? Yes. Can you afford for those words specifically to get back to him? Nope. You lose them both. She will follow him because you'll become the enemy. Ask after him. He's good? Good to hear it. Call her for catch-ups. Make it clear you want the relationship with her. This is not about him, even though, of course, it is. As time goes on and they go into different phases of this cycle, you'll be able to address things more directly. For now, I'd start here. I think this is a very grounded way to do it, and probably the best. Of course, it's about him, but what you are after is to strengthen your relationship with your sister. And taking it day by day, becoming a part of each other's life, will ease you both into coming closer and remind you how precious your bond is. And it will also maybe remind her of who she is, where she comes from, who she is without him. I'm leaving my husband because I found out that he has been making fun of me behind my back to his ex. Plus update. Original post. My husband, male 45 and I, female 36, met about 6 years ago. We have been married for 1 year. When we met, I was very fit and athletic. I started gaining weight, however, after suffering 2 miscarriages and the loss of my mother to cancer. I was very depressed and barely got out of bed if not to go to work. I stopped exercising and instead started eating junk food. I gained 40 pounds in 2 years, 2019 to 2020. Under this time, my husband, then fiancé, was very supportive and loving. I felt guilty and tried to give him an out several times, but instead, he proposed and we got married last summer. Since our marriage, I have been feeling much better and it showed. I've lost around 20 pounds so far and I gained back my muscles and abs. He was so happy to see me feeling better. On his computer, however, it was totally a different story. He was talking almost under our entire relationship to his ex-wife about me. His ex-wife, female 46, left him about 4 to 8 years ago for her colleague. The relationship didn't work, however, and she tried to get back together with my husband. He has already met me, but they stayed friends, mostly via chat, texting since she lives 12 hours away. My husband was complaining about everything about me. My job, my depression, my cooking, but mostly about my weight. He was telling her how disgusting I was to him, how he even found it hard to share the same bed since I snored like a dog. He sent her pictures of me while sleeping, sometimes in underwear with comments about my belly, double chin, back boobs, etc. She found these pictures extremely amusing, and she came up with the name White Whale. They both found it hilarious, and now this is what they referred to me as. They don't flirt exactly, or talk about being together or starting an affair, but they do say they miss each other, and they reminisce about the time they were married. She's more flirtatious, and he really enjoys it. Whatever is telling her isn't what I have experienced with him. I don't disgust him. He tells me that he loves me all the time. We have great and passionate bedroom fun, and the way he touches and makes love to me is so great. He must be a really good actor if he was in reality disgusted by me. And he hates the few times we have to sleep apart. He's lying, and I don't know why he's doing it. He's lying to one of us, and I'm not sure if I want to know who he's lying to and why. I decided to get out of this marriage and leave this behind me. Right now, I'm acting like everything is normal, but I have started looking for a new job in another city and a place to rent. I also started with birth control pills in case something happens between us, and I have talked to a lawyer to prepare the divorce and start the process once I'm gone. One thing I'm not going to do is fall back into depression and weight gain. I will not allow it. What a waste of love he has been. Edit: I can't believe I need to explain this about the birth control pills. Very simple explanation. Up until I went through his messenger, I loved and trusted this guy. We had a great intimate life and we were trying to conceive. When I read what he has written and the way he took pictures of me sleeping, something happened inside of me, like I don't know this person in front of me anymore. I can't read his face, and I don't trust him. I don't know how long I'm going to need to stay under the same roof as him. I don't know what his reaction would be if I refused him under a long period of time with no real excuse. I don't know what else he's capable of besides taking pictures of sleeping people. I don't know if I, in a moment of weakness, succumbed to lust, or if he for a moment could fool me that he actually loved me. For all these reasons and many darker scenarios I have played in my head, I'm taking extra precautions. Anyone with an IQ of a chicken could understand that, or so I hope. Thank you everyone for the support. I will update you when I know more about where I'm headed. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Well, at least he is giving you a quick way to lose some dead weight. What an a-hole. You will be much better off without him. Right. She's about to excise a 160 plus pounds malignant tumor. That's living well all by itself. I don't know why, but it never ceases to amaze me how quietly cruel spouses can be behind the other's back. Good luck, Opie. You're smart and deserve a much better life. Go get it. I'm so happy you have the fight in you. He needs to go play weird, messed up games with his wretched ex. I'm not, and I will never be that thin. I knew I was with one of the good ones when I was over at my boyfriend's, and he thought I was asleep. But I got up to use the bathroom and overheard him talking to his friends online while they were playing Halo in his living room. He said something along the lines of, "No, she's not thin at all actually. Why?" And I think to myself, oh, here we go. When he straightens up and goes, "What? No, actually it's great. She's so great to cuddle with. She's always super warm and I'm always freezing. Also, when we go out, she actually wants to eat real food. Plus her boobs, man. The huge skinny girls don't get fronts like that. I know they're real." At that point, I walked over and gave him a kiss. He was super embarrassed I had overheard him. "I'm so proud of you for leaving. Stick to your plan and be done with him." I can't even fathom the gut punch reading White Whale was. Definitely make sure to screenshot and print out the conversations for when you make your exit. Block him, block his family if need be, because you never know what kind of crazy story he could make up. And most importantly, take care of yourself. We're rooting for you. It was this picture of me with my belly hanging out while sleeping on my side that earned me the nickname the White Whale. Sharing a photo someone did not give permission for, let alone taking the photo, is a huge violation. I'm sorry, such an ass. I applaud you resolving plans. He didn't deserve you. I would suggest printing out the emails, then leave them on the kitchen counter with your house keys and wedding band when you leave. Leave while he's not there. If that's how he wants to behave, let him see that you left him because of it. I will probably do that, yeah. I don't want to confront him now that I'm still living with him. But once I'm out, it's probably the easiest way to explain why. Print his conversations and hand it to him. How are you going to keep up the ruse though until you leave? Do you think at some point he will notice and will start asking questions? By the way, I totally think you are a superwoman and support you in what you've accomplished and what you are doing. And now for the update. Hi again. I don't know how to make an update, but my original post is in my profile. But I'm feeling happy, so happy for the first time in weeks. I And I wanted to share that with you since many of you supported me and requested an update. I thought it would be the decent thing to do. So, here comes nothing. I didn't pry or spy on my husband. I used his MacBook to do some work and he had forgotten to log out from Facebook and Messenger. He has never given me any reason to spy on him. After I found out, however, I would occasionally check his phone, maybe hoping that it was all a bad joke. He continued complaining anyhow, and now he was telling her I was being distant and cold in manner and that he was tired of me. He even lied and told her I was gaining even more weight, even though I'm not. He told her we weren't being intimate anymore. I avoided him because he couldn't find it under the rules of fat, a joke that she highly appreciated. I didn't spy after that. I got the confirmation I needed. In the meantime, he acted a worried husband with me, concerned about me and asking if I was going through a new depression. He told me he loved me and that he was there for me. He did everything like previous times I had dips. Called from work, came home with takeouts from my favorite restaurants, did all the cleaning and washing around the house, baked fresh bread in the mornings, flowers and chocolate, and asked me if I wanted to go for a nighttime drive/walks. He used to take me for a drive the nights I was feeling very down and depressed. How can anyone be so two-faced? I have my big sister who lives in another city. I told her that I was leaving my husband and that I was looking for jobs in her city. My sister is married and she lives with her husband and daughter in a big house, and she offered me one of her spare bedrooms. I got a few job interviews and one of them turned into an offer. It's not exactly my field of work and it came with a significant decrease in salary. But I thought about it and it's a good start until something more suitable comes up. I didn't want to prolong my stay with him any longer, and a decrease in income is a good sacrifice. Plus, I'm going to have lower rent and I'm selling my car since the new job is a walking distance from my sister's house. No more worry about the crazy gas prices. My new job starts on October 1st. I'm working my notice period for my computer. The 2 months between jobs, I'm just going to have fun and work on myself. I took my name off the lease, but I'm going to pay 2 more months. I left him last Sunday. The night before, I prepared a very nice dinner and I effed his brains out all night. It felt so good to hear him whispering how much he loved me and how lucky he was to have me. In the morning, I left the divorce papers and my attorney's number in the kitchen. When I got to my sister, I finally could tell her and the rest of my family about everything. I showed them all his conversations and even the pictures he's taken of me, and now they're all angry at him. He has been calling and texting obsessively, but he doesn't know where I live now. Emailed, DM, even went to my parents, but they just shunned him at the door and advised him to let me go. Maybe he knows now because he's been asking to explain and apologize, etc. I don't care. All I've texted back is that if he wants to convey a message, he could do it through my lawyer. Edit, my parents were divorced and both remarried. Mom passed away almost 3 years ago. I went to Dad's house looking for me. Dad lives there with my stepmom and 2 of my sisters. This is the update I'm waiting for. I feel glad for you. Thank you. It feels like a big weight has lifted off my chest when I finally left our apartment. Best update I've read in a while. Such a satisfying conclusion to an otherwise horrific situation. Imagine being such a loser that you feel the need to validate your cheating ex-wife by saying despicable things about your current not cheating wife. Dude is a chump. You're better off, OP. Rooting for you. Exactly. I've known and even been in a long-term relationship with people like that, who will do anything to try to impress the people in their lives that treat them the worst, while neglecting and taking advantage of the people in their lives that treat them the best. I'm sure it's some kind of psychological disorder with its roots in some kind of childhood trauma, but it's not one that's worth your time to try to help the other person work through. Because the amount of damage these people can cause you in their desperation to be accepted by people that treat them like trash isn't something that you can just get over. Heck yes. Explain? What the heck is there to explain? I'm glad to hear you ditched him. How can someone be so two-faced? He wants an opportunity to weasel his way back in and pay money to read the messages he is now sending his ex. How do you spin being dumped like a sad sack? Now, for the last story. My brother is gaslighting the heck out of his wife. What can I do about it? I know gaslighting is a term that gets thrown around a lot lately, so please correct me if I'm not using it right, but I think I am. So to start, I'm 23 years old female. My brother is 34 years old and he's married to a girl who is 21 years old. They have 3 kids together. He treats her like crap. And no matter what I say to her, she'll just make excuses for it. She'll say he's tired from work or whatever. And it reached to a point where if I talk too badly about him, she'll get annoyed with me and stop talking to me for a while. Anyway, I recently heard he cheated on her. The person who told me is a reliable source, so I'm sure he did cheat, but I don't have any solid proof. I still don't know if I should say something to her or not since I don't have proof. She's talked to me a few times about things she's noticed off, that I've told her were red flags that she should look into. One of the things was his longer hours at work. She said she was talking to one of his coworkers' wife and mentioned how hard the longer hours have been. The wife had no idea what she was talking about as her husband wasn't working any extra hours. I told her that was weird and she should look into it. She ended up asking my brother and he gave her a BS excuse about how just his department was working late. I pointed out the husband of the woman she talked to worked in the same department as my brother. She was just like, "Oh, I'm sure there are smaller inner departments we don't know about." Then she found texts on his phone, like straight up cheating texts. She confronted him about it, and he said it was one of his coworkers texting his girlfriend from his phone. The last thing I'm putting, there are more but I don't have the room for them all, is that she found a ring in their SUV that he used when his truck was in the shop. He claimed it was mine. It must have fallen off when I used the car to pick up their kids. She went to return it to me and I told her it wasn't mine. When she asked my brother again, he told her he hadn't meant me. He meant our other sister or one of her friends, but she never picked up the kids. None of them even have their licenses. So why would he have said she used a car to pick up the kids? And that's when the ring got in there if she never has before? How can I get her to snap out of it without getting her mad? I really don't have much of a relationship with my brother, to be honest. I have a relationship with her because we were both in cheer together in high school. Editing in to say that she has her own job and income that she can support herself on. I don't know why people are assuming she doesn't. Now for the advice. Honestly, she's so manipulated I don't think you can help her. Just make sure she knows you're there and on her side if she ever decides to leave. If you keep pushing her, then she'll go no contact with you and might feel too scared to come to you for help when she wants to leave. Okay, thanks. It just sucks seeing it. Your 34-year-old brother already has 3 kids with a 21-year-old? When did they get together? May not be illegal, but sounds like textbook grooming and manipulation on your brother's part. 3 kids are about 3 years back, meaning they got together when he was 31 and she was 18. That's legal, but often seen as problematic due to the power imbalances. Sorry, I know you didn't ask about that, but just that alone is a red flag. As for gaslighting is the intent to cause someone to think they are crazy. I think here, he's only being defensive, which is awful in its own right as it can cause a gaslighting-like impact. But it isn't gaslighting unless he means to make her doubt her sanity. And I'm not sure if that's the case. Anyway, I'd suggest Googling how to support someone in an emotionally abusive relationship and read some articles for tips. Mostly, though, it comes down to active listening skills. As often, it's hard for the victims to take advice because they're so confused as is. So it's more helpful to use active listening skills to help them figure out their own feelings, which will empower them to trust and value themselves more. This helps them a lot, as lack of trusting and valuing themselves is often what makes it hard for them to leave. Thanks for that clarification. Yeah, they started officially dating when she was 18. Officially. Yeah, I doubt I know the full story. She should be tested for STDs. Other than that, you need to step back. You have tried. She will listen when she's ready. The best thing you can do short-term for her is get her an appointment with an OB/GYN or community health clinic to get tested. Long-term, it is clear she is vulnerable with low self-esteem and so she has blinders on. It will take more than just you for her to see the light. What do her parents say about this situation? Your parents? Your other sister? Her siblings? Her friends? It will take a large circle of support for her to see reason. If it's just you versus your brother, she's going to stick with him because she's blindsided by the relationship. You need to figure out who else she is close to that can be trusted and help you support her. Update. Am I the a-hole for not telling my ex about our child? Original post. I was 18 when I got pregnant with my daughter, 9 female. I was young and dumb, I admit that. Her father and I broke up before I found out. We were high school sweethearts. At the time, we were both figuring out college, and I knew that if I told him, he wouldn't go to the Ivy League school he was accepted into. So, I didn't tell him during pregnancy. He heard rumors but never asked. But when the baby was born, I tried to tell him and he didn't believe me. Blocked me on everything, and I just decided to provide for her without his help. I bring my daughter everywhere, and this particular day we went to Target. I'm walking down the shampoo aisle with my daughter, and when I looked up, I saw my ex's mom. I have never lied to my daughter about who her father was or his parents. She has seen pictures. When she was little and she asked where he was, I explained college. And when she got older, I never painted him as the bad guy. I've always just told her mommy made adult decisions too young. My daughter is the spitting image of her father, so there's no denying it's his child. So once she saw her, she had a face like she knew something and asked me how old my daughter was. She told me she had heard rumors but didn't think they were true. Once I told her, I saw her face put the connection together. I explained I wanted to contact him but didn't have a way to. I didn't bother telling her that I tried when she was born. She understood and asked if she could tell him. I said of course. Apparently, he's been living a couple hours away, which is why I never ran into him and they moved a few towns over. My ex called and invited me to his parents' house for dinner tomorrow with our daughter. Do I go? His new girlfriend is blowing up my social media calling me an a-hole. She says I'm only telling him now so they break up, and how I'm a horrible mother for not telling him sooner. As if I don't feel bad enough that my daughter has missed out this long. My daughter wants to meet her dad and she understandably has questions. Now for the top comments. But you did tell him. It's not your fault he refused to believe you and cut off lines of communication. Besides, you didn't seek him out 9 years later. You were shopping with your child when his mother noticed you. You're definitely not the a-hole and the new girlfriend is way out of line for contacting you at all. I am giving the girlfriend some grace. I'm sure it wasn't easy to find out your boyfriend has a child you never knew about. That is very generous of you, but it's not appropriate of her to make baseless accusations against you. You were just minding your business in Target. You didn't ask for any of this. Just trying to buy some shampoo. This thread is right. You did try, and you need to make that clear to both his girlfriend and family that he chose to block you when you told him. Don't back down. Keep bringing it up and defending yourself. Otherwise, they'll decide it's easier to blame you. Not the a-hole. You did tell him and he proceeded to ghost you. I can't blame his current girlfriend either because she's probably not getting the whole truth. Your ex is a huge a-hole. I'm sure she might not be, but I think he's handling it the best he can. I'm sure this wasn't easy on his family either. I think you need to have a conversation with him/his parents away from your daughter before everyone meets. Not a-hole. Your title is misleading. You absolutely told him and he refused to believe you entirely. Ignore the girlfriend. It's not about her. Hopefully Dad wants to be a part of your daughter's life, and hopefully he understands that he has a commitment to her. It sounded like he does on the phone. He really is a great person. We just made dumb young decisions. Don't rush it. If he is interested in a relationship with the daughter, make sure it's supervised. He's a stranger to her, and he's never parented a child. Also, make sure you protect yourself and child, so she does not get taken from you. And now for the update. I took everyone's advice to ask my ex to meet for coffee before dinner. He said he'd be happy to get coffee tomorrow morning so we can have the adult conversations without her there. He also wanted to talk to me anyway, to know what she liked so she knew what to talk to her about. I also let him know I didn't want to cause drama, but I sent him screenshots of what his girlfriend has been saying. He let me know that's not acceptable, and he'll be handling that immediately and I will not be hearing from her again. He also reiterated he will not be having her meet our daughter anytime soon. I know everyone is also asking about how involved or consistent he'd like to be. When I spoke to him earlier about dinner, we did speak about this. He'd like to start small and build their relationship slowly, starting with helping with science homework. Our daughter struggles with science and he was a biology major, over FaceTime or in person, depending on our daughter's comfort level. I think it's a great way to start small. Update 2. My ex and I met for coffee. It actually went really well. There were no big emotions. We both just talked it out. He wants to be involved with our daughter's life and feels badly that he's missed out on so many years. We talked about her favorite things, favorite foods, favorite places, favorite books and movies. I even told him some of the ways she was a lot like him growing up. He does want to apologize to her directly when he meets her. He said he wished things had gone differently back then, but we both decided we need to forgive each other to move forward for her. He asked if she had a father figure right now, a spouse of mine or current significant other, as he wanted to make sure we were on the same page when he met her, and I explained that's not the case. He also did show me the messages where he told his parents and his girlfriend what actually happened 9 years ago. He told them I'm not completely to blame and I let him know he isn't either. We have agreed our daughter doesn't need to hear the whole version of events. But we do owe her an apology for making really big decisions that affected her life for so long. I guess we'll see how dinner goes. Update on dinner. Prior to dinner, I let my daughter know that if she wanted to leave early, we could, or if she felt uncomfortable at all to let me know. I also told her if she didn't want to say anything in front of anyone. Sometimes kids don't want to hurt other people's feelings. That if she asked me for lotion, I would know that meant she wanted to leave. On our way there, she did ask if it was okay if she called him dad or if she would call him by his name. And I told her that her dad and I talked about that and she can call him whatever she's comfortable with. We went there and it went really well. We brought some pictures of her growing up and my ex's mom went out and bought one of our daughter's favorite books for her to read so that they could talk about it. I could tell my daughter was a little nervous at first, not knowing what to expect, but that very quickly changed. They had bought a small activity for them to do with her after dinner which she loved. Her dad and I apologized to her together for making decisions that affected her life this long. We promised her to work on making sure she had a good relationship moving forward with both of us, because we know her heart is big enough for all of her family. At the end of the night, my ex's mom actually brought out a box that had all our high school memories inside. I didn't realize she had kept any of it. A jewelry box he bought me, a couple charms and bracelet he had bought me, pictures, his handkerchief from prom, and our old promise ring. She was really excited to see a small glimpse from our past. Her dad even told her she could have the items once she's older, which for her meant a lot. She's a very emotional and sentimental child. They talked about how he's going to help her with some homework if she wants, and is planning on moving back around here to be closer to her. He even volunteered to help with her first science fair if that was okay, which made me sad for a split second, and then I remembered I've had 9 years of firsts with her, so he can have this one. All in all, I think everything is going really well. Also, apparently the girlfriend is out of the picture. I don't know the details, but I know she said some things when he confronted her about the messages she sent me, and it's got ugly fast. On the way home, she was so excited she couldn't stop talking about dad and grandma and grandpa. It made my heart happy she had so much fun. I know some people were asking about child support. Him and I had a conversation around it while she was spending a few minutes with her grandparents. He volunteered to pay child support. I've been paying for her things on my own for so long that I told him I think it would be more beneficial for him to help me with things going forward and to contribute the rest to her college fund. That way, the money is going into her future. I do have an appointment set up with her therapist tomorrow just so she can talk to her about it and everything. Dad is also going to start occasionally going to therapy with her too. I do it periodically as well, so we thought it would be beneficial. Final update. For everyone asking for updates, our daughter's first day of school is coming up. Dad and grandparents are coming to my house on her first day of school for pictures. She called and asked them to come, and no one hesitated to take the morning off of work. About time. A post where both parents involved are communicative and willing to do what's best for their kid. Kudos to both. I was reading this and I was waiting for someone to be an unreasonable a-hole, and other than a girlfriend, it just didn't come? What is this? I'm not used to people being mature, emotionally intelligent, and reasonable. I was so worried at the start. This has to be one of the contenders for Best Adult Conflict Resolution. Agree. It could have went poorly considering they are all in their 20s and clearly the ex-girlfriend was too. But they all handled it so maturely. Am I the only one confused about why he wouldn't believe she'd had his child to begin with when she first told him? It's a pretty easy prove. Probably because he didn't want a child then? That if he blocked her, it wouldn't be true. He could simply go back to his life and ignore it. But it's different when your mom tells you about this kid and you are in your late 20s. You can't ignore your mother who wants to have a relationship with her granddaughter, one your son knew about and decided to ignore. Not saying that he didn't do anything wrong, but at least he is willing now. And grandparents are also very willing to have her in their life and make a huge effort. Whilst I am glad that things seem to be working out too far, I am disturbed that OP is assuming so much of the blame for not pursuing her ex-boyfriend and forcing him to acknowledge his child. She made some efforts, which he rebuffed. I would say the blame was 5% the mother's fault and 95% on the father. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to take a DNA test? My 32 female dad passed away when I was a little baby. He was in a car accident with his pregnant female subordinate, who was also his longtime mistress. She did survive the crash but lost the baby and ended up in an almost vegetative state. She's still alive. My parents had me after 8 years of marriage after dealing with years of infertility. My dad was rich. He came from old money, and while married to my mother, made his own fortune. My mom came from humble beginnings and they had an arranged marriage. While they were married, my dad was in charge of the finances, and when he died, everything went to my mom. She married my dad's younger brother a few years later, had my siblings, and they're still happily married. We had a very happy childhood, and my grandparents, dad's parents who have since passed, were very involved. I had an extremely privileged upbringing. Now here's where I might be the a-hole. A girl claiming to be my half-sister, my dad's mistress's daughter, has contacted me saying that her mom is on her last legs and that she's trying to get some money for the hospital bills. She's 2 years older than me and claims that she's my dad's daughter and is entitled to my family's money. I have refused to take a DNA test. She has now threatened to take me to court. I refuse to meet her or discuss this issue. Her family is now harassing me and they tell me that I'm trying to steal her money and that she's my dad's firstborn child. When I told my mom about this, she told me to ignore her and go on with my life. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, but I disagree with your mom. Contact a lawyer rather than ignore it. If the family's harassing you, this is more than a casual scam. Agreeing here. Call a lawyer. You have no idea what's brewing. There could be many things at play and it's best to get proper advice to get ahead of it. Depending on where you live, there are probably statutes of limitations that will dictate how long someone has to sue for damages because of an accident, or how long someone legally has to contest a will or sue an estate for child support payments. A lawyer is gonna be the expert on this. A lawyer will also be able to help you navigate no contact/restraining orders if the harassment gets to a criminal level. Also, block them for peace of mind, but don't delete anything. Don't delete texts, social media DMs and posts, voicemails, call logs, etc. This is evidence if you do need to go to court over the harassment. When in doubt, lawyer out. Not the a-hole. I don't think her court case has any merit. I highly doubt any court would compel you to take a DNA test. A lawyer would be a better judge of whether there is merit in the claim. For what it's worth, they don't need the OP's DNA. Her uncle/stepdad or any one of the siblings would do. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband that his mom is pregnant? I recently found out that my husband's mom is pregnant. She didn't tell me directly. Probably wouldn't have wanted me to know as we don't get along at all. But we were on an outing for a mutual family member's birthday, and I heard her whinging to an usher that they needed to bend the rules and let her back in her seats because she is pregnant. And that's why she got up. I immediately felt sick to my stomach. My husband and I do not keep secrets, and I felt like I had to tell him, but it also felt wrong. The thing is, if I didn't tell him and he ever found out I knew, he would feel so betrayed. I ended up pulling her aside at the end of the night and letting her know that I knew, and that I felt I had to tell him. She told me she wasn't ready and then told me she had no plans of telling him, maybe until the baby was born. WTF. I told her I was going to have to tell him, and she began to cry. She said she knew he would take it badly and feel he was being replaced since she hasn't talked to him in a while. And she said she's having a lot of weird feelings about not wanting him near the baby, but she thinks it's hormonal and will go away. She said she's even going to therapy to get into a place she can talk to him again. And please don't tell him. They used to be close, but she hates me with a passion and it has ruined their relationship. I said I was sorry, but I just don't keep secrets from my husband. And she called me a freaking stupid witch and ran off crying. I told my husband and he did not take it well at all. He called her and there was a massive fight. And now mother-in-law is telling everyone I'm evil and that I betrayed her. The family's pretty split about it if he had a right to know or not. Not the a-hole. Potential plot twist? She's not pregnant at all and lied to the usher so she could break the rules. That was my first thought too. Everyone sucks here. Mom and husband are in a dynamic that I'm not even going to touch. But there are problems, and obviously he stuck you in there somehow, which is wrong. That being said, you are textbook meddling. Let them hash out their own mess. How would he possibly ever know you heard something? Who knows if she was even telling the truth? What do you even gain or lose by getting involved? This is a ridiculous mess. Your whole family sounds like a drama magnet, to be honest. Edited to add, people don't seem to understand how it's meddling to run up to mother-in-law and start interrogating her about the pregnancy. Like, why is that your business? My husband can read my face when no one else can. He'd find out then look at me for support, and he'd know I knew without me saying a word. And I know this because we were in a similar situation but with his sister. Yeah, some of us are bad liars with no poker face. I resent when I'm made to keep secrets, and I don't want to be dragged into it. Mother-in-law should not be blurting things out to random strangers if she doesn't want people to know. Update. Am I the a-hole for not taking my wife's side and siding with my parents? Background. My wife, 28 female and I, 30 male, as well as my brother and his wife, went to visit our parents as we haven't seen them in a while. My parents, 57, had a box of $300 ginseng in the fridge to be given as a gift for their close friend's wedding anniversary tomorrow. We know this because it came up in conversation during lunch. They also told us to help ourselves to anything in the fridge, but to not touch the ginseng for obvious reasons. The problem came when a few hours later my parents called us in a panic, saying that they couldn't find the ginseng and if anyone saw it. I didn't like it, and at first I thought they just misplaced it somewhere. However, they insisted that they both agreed to not moving it out of the fridge drawer for that exact reason. All of us denied taking it, and the conversation got more heated when my father started yelling that someone must have taken it since it only went missing when we came to visit. All of us continued to deny taking it, with my wife being really quiet, and my father said that if it doesn't turn up soon, he'd have to have everyone's belongings checked. That was when my wife admitted that she took it. Apparently, it was some popular brand that my in-laws mentioned, and she wanted to give it to them, and she thought that no one would notice since it was in an inconspicuous place in the fridge. My mother-in-law later called and said my parents overreacted over such an inconsequential thing and screamed at me that I was an a-hole for not defending my wife. The thing is, in my opinion, it wasn't a small thing. My wife literally stole hundreds of dollars from my parents and tried to lie her way out of it. While I agree that my parents shouldn't have started yelling and accusing us, I feel like my wife was in the wrong for taking the ginseng in the first place. This situation has caused a lot of friction, and we haven't been speaking since coming home. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. Your wife is a thief that literally stole something of high value from your parents. She thought that no one would notice since it was in an inconspicuous place in the fridge. She is literally lying. As you mentioned, this topic was brought up during lunch, that it was an expensive gift, not supposed to be touched. My mother-in-law later called and said my parents overreacted over such an inconsequential thing and screamed at me that I was an a-hole for not defending my wife. They are the a-holes for enabling this lying and stealing behavior. Not just that, but mother-in-law was the intended recipient of the stolen goods. It's not a surprise she would scream at Opie for getting in the way of her thieving daughter stealing for her benefit. This didn't happen in a vacuum. Oh yeah, in-law is just angry to lose the very expensive item. Not a-hole, and sheesh. I don't even know how Opie should address this. This is a big betrayal and a crime, but it must be addressed. Seriously, would you be comfortable living with such a person? She's clearly untrustworthy and selfish to the point of being pathological. Your wife literally stole a $300 item from your parents, and her and mother-in-law are mad she got caught. Honestly, if my husband did that, I'd be having a long think about continuing the marriage. I wouldn't even need to think about it. Instant divorce. If she's willing to lie over a box of ginseng for such selfish reasons, she clearly doesn't love or respect me or my family, and I'd never be able to trust her about anything again. I wonder what else little Miss Sticky Fingers has helped herself to in other people's homes. Yeah, it was odd to me that parents were babysitting this item since they got there. I thought it would turn out the wife moved it, and they were being really precious about it, and maybe she touched it. Now I wonder if wife isn't always shopping around when she visits his family. 100%. Honestly, it would have me rethinking the marriage, since she's revealed herself to be a liar and a thief, and I don't blame your parents for yelling. Now for the update. After making the post, I thought a lot more about the situation. I realized after reading the comments that this indeed wasn't a one-time situation. Things in our house like face creams, kitchen utensils, and even household tools would go missing, and I would just believe my wife's excuses. I feel like such an idiot for not realizing sooner, and honestly can't believe she took advantage of my trust like that. I guess a part of me refused to believe the truth, which was how she thought she could get away with it this time. When I brought up divorce, she immediately threatened to call the police to arrest me for DV when I had never laid a hand on her like that, so that I couldn't ever find a job again. So needless to say, my lawyer is being called and this marriage will be over very soon. I have also apologized to my parents for all this awful behavior, and they have accepted. To be honest, this is probably the best ending, and I'm kind of glad the situation happened before it went on any longer. I'm incredibly done with my hopefully soon ex-wife and her side of the family, whose mother called me again yesterday entirely remorseless and called me a childish mommy's boy. Thank you everyone for all the help and comments. Also, to clarify a few things, from what I'm aware, mother-in-law was aware of my wife's actions, especially since she had done this sort of thing before. Taking things from our house to give to them, I didn't see anything wrong with it since neither of them like my parents. And since it was going to be a short visit, like 2-hour stops, she thought no one was going to notice the missing ginseng before we left. I want a divorce. I'm going to call the police and tell them that you abused me. And now I'm gonna divorce faster. Well, this is coming from a child who stole a $300 gift right out of the fridge. Not the brightest apple in the bunch. Like many commenters on the original post, I thought this couldn't be the first occasion, since the dishonesty was so brazen and mother-in-law's defense so shameless. Hope you will be well rid of her. I hope the divorce goes more smoothly than it started out. Nope, it won't. She will make a whole lot of drama out of it. She's a pathological liar and a kleptomaniac. What a terrible person. I had a friend like this back in high school. Would just steal things from my house and act like it's no big deal. Mostly small things like stuffed animals, mechanical pencils, erasers, knickknacks. I finally had enough though when she stole some jewelry that my grandma gave me that I told her was important to me. She claimed she didn't steal them, but then wore them to school the next day. I ripped it off her neck and we stopped being friends. She thought no one was going to notice the $300 wedding gift that they literally had just talked about with them? That sounds like the kind of excuse that a little kid makes when they get caught sneaking food from the pantry. Sounds like the sort of behavior had been enabled by her mother her whole life. She probably rarely faced actual consequences for it. My theory is that she was actually taught to do this by her parents. Stealing is bad unless you're doing it for your parents. Also, stealing for us is how you earn our love. Next story. Am I the a-hole for ignoring my ex-husband's new wife? I was married 21 years and have 3 children. When my youngest was 14 months old, I discovered my husband was cheating. I was devastated and wanted to try and save our marriage. So I asked him to go to therapy so we could save the marriage. He told me he didn't want to save the marriage. 3 days later, he moved out. 3 years later, I filed for divorce. He was living with a woman he had an affair with, so I was given physical custody of my 3 children. He was to arrange with my older 2 kids directly for visitation. My older 2 were 14 years and 16 years old, while my youngest was around 3. We agreed on a schedule, alternating holidays, and he would get her every other weekend. From the start, he never kept this arrangement. One weekend here, couple months later, another weekend. His hours changed where he worked, so I agreed to change the arrangement. All I asked was for him to give me 48 hours notice when he wanted to get her. He would text me at 11 p.m. Friday and ask to get her at 7 a.m. Saturday. I would not agree to this because most of the time I had plans already. In the next few years, he would see her like 3 times a year. Then fast forward to 3 years ago, he completely stopped getting her. No reason, no text, nothing. He never even calls or texts on her birthday. A week ago, his new wife texts me and asks if her daughter, who is his daughter and my daughter's half-sister, can call my daughter. I have yet to respond. He now has 2 other children with this woman and I've met her like 3 times. I feel really angry about her contacting me when my ex hasn't said a word to me or his 3 children in 3 years. He has not spoken, called, texted my 2 older kids since the day he left. I feel like he has put no effort into contacting my kids. I'm angry that my youngest has had to grow up without a father, but I don't want him to come in and out of her life and continue to be a flake. I feel like he should have contacted me. What would I do? Am I the a-hole for not responding and ignoring his wife? Not the a-hole. Add another vote to the ignore pile. Shifting co-parenting to a non-parent is not something that you should accept. It's one thing if everyone has sat down and the new spouse has been added to the co-parenting dynamic. But this is him just being a crappy dad. There's nothing but problems and bull-dookie for you if you engage with this person. Deal with the kid's dad and only the dad, for your daughter's sake. When she's old enough to make her own decisions and decide if she wants to deal with a step-parent or half-siblings, then the new wife can deal with her directly. I get not wanting to cut her off from siblings, but her dad pretty much abandoned her, so it's not like she's close to them. Agreed. Also, having half-sister who gets her dad 24/7, talking to the daughter who has been practically abandoned by said father, may not be in your daughter's best interest. It's hard to have half-siblings talk about the wonderful things they do with their absent parent. The fact that her half-sister is more interested in her than her own father is so sad. Yes, this is true. Even when my two older kids talk about their father, my youngest gets upset because she has had a totally different experience with her father. Block her and contact a therapist for you and your children for not letting their sick game get all of you. Make sure to note everything that happened the past 3 years, him not coming, etc., and continue for the future just in case. You are a wonderful mom, and even if it's hard, your kids and yourself are gonna be okay. There's a lot of us who grew up with sperm donors who had abandoned us for their new family. But with good support, it's possible to move on. So focus on yourself, build a happy home, heal and move on. Time to find a real one for you. P.S. Contact your lawyer about this abandonment. My ex did this to my daughter. He even convinced his entire family, including his stepsisters who were my best friends for years, that I kept her from him. He died when my daughter was 15. And she hadn't seen him since the age of 3. Good riddance. Last story. Am I the a-hole for making my partner choose between me and his mom? I, female 34, have been with my boyfriend, male 38, for the past 3 years. He has a crazy ex, Jane. They have been together on and off since they were 15. Last time they broke up was about 5 years ago, when he made a point to both families that it was final. Both his mom and dad consider her to be a family friend. She lives 5-minute walk from their house. From the first day, his mom made known to everyone, especially me, that she doesn't approve. She has also invited Jane to every family gathering, despite him asking her not to. Together with Jane, his mom would make comments at my expense. I know he loves his mom, and I would never disrespect her in her home, so I always took the jab silently. She would also give Jane a spare key to his place, and more than once, he came home to find her in his bed. One of the reasons I insist on having my own place is I'm not comfortable with his family, mom, having a spare key to a place I live in. There have been numerous instances where both would drive me to the point of tears. And on more than one occasion when I left the event early because of it, to his credit he always left with me, and his mom always blamed me for dragging him away. My breaking point was last month, at his birthday dinner at his family home, when his mom had one of his nephews bring me a cookie that had coffee in it. I'm allergic, severely, and his family knows. I was lucky enough to notice before I swallowed a bit and spit it out. Still, I had to use my EpiPen. His mom kept saying that I should go home and rest because I was dampening the mood. He said if I left, so will he. Then I said that I can't do it anymore. I can't put up with the comments and Jane being pushed in his lap at every chance, but that I can't deal with them essentially trying to poison me. His mom said it was an accident, but I didn't believe it, and said that I can't be with him as long as his family is part of his life, since they enable the behavior. He said goodbye to them, and we left. A couple of days later, he told me his mom admitted that the cookie thing was deliberate, but that they didn't think it was as severe as I claimed. That she and Jane just didn't want me there. His dad, brothers, and sister have all come to visit and apologized for their part, so we agreed to start fresh. Last weekend, we had a barbecue over at my place, and we invited them all. His dad and his sister both asked if his mom can come. My boyfriend said he doesn't want her there, but as it was my house, it was my call. I said I'm sorry, but she just isn't welcomed. His family and friends have been divided now. Some say I'm within my right, and others are saying I'm an a-hole because I'm not just making him choose between his mom and me, but also all of them. I said I never asked them to choose and pointed out his mom still hasn't apologized to me. But they say by inviting them and not her, I'm essentially forcing a choice. So am I an a-hole? Mom tried to kill you. He needs to go no contact for a while to work on your relationship. If he doesn't, you will never be happy as mom will never change. Leave if he doesn't. I'm flabbergasted by the blasé way in which mom admitted to trying to kill her because she and Jane didn't want her there. What the actual heck is anyone in his family thinking downplaying that insanity? Also, the day my mom aids a stalker/trespasser with gaining access to my home is the day that I stop allowing her any access to my life. If he isn't willing to go full no contact and stop this nonsense, then end this relationship, Opie, before they kill you or make you lose your sanity. Right? I would be pressing charges. This is literally attempted murder. Opie, you are not the a-hole. And if your boyfriend isn't on board going no contact with his mother after she tried to kill you, you need to leave him in the dust. I can't even believe the audacity. His mother tried to end you. If he loves you, that should be reason enough for him to go no contact with her and anyone defending her. In fact, why haven't you filed a police report? Change the locks. Make sure his mother never has a key and make it clear she's not welcome where you are. Not the a-hole. The irony of it all is, he is a cop, his dad was a cop, and one of his brothers is also a cop. We did briefly discuss filing charges, but I feel like that would be it for his relationship with his family and just don't want to cost him that. Also, he has changed the lock several times. However, a couple years back, he had a really rough time with dealing with something that happened at work, and his family insisted on a key so they can come in and check on him if he goes down the dark hole again. He's 38, and his mommy still pushes him around? He's not worth it. Not the a-hole.